Hi, I'm Colleen Pearl and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about the astrology that takes place from December 4th to the 18th. That is from the new moon solar eclipse to the full moon lunar eclipse. This video is going to deal with the astrology that happens between the solar eclipse on December 4th and the lunar eclipse on December 18th. I've done videos on both of those eclipses, so you should look for those under my channel. And what we're going to talk about today is just the astrology in between those dates. So on December 4th, we have this new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. This is going to coincide with the Saturn-Uranus square, which has been in effect really since December 2020. So that energy of people who want things to be new and changed, tensioning or opposing or facing off with people who really want things to stay the same because it's worked before, and they think the people who want to change things are foolish. And very often this opposition happens between young and old, but not always. It could be between conservatives and progressives, or even conservatives and moderates who just see the idea of change as not too threatening. Between December 4th and December 18th, now we're going to talk about all the planetary ingresses. There's really only one, but there is some other change of directions that I'm going to talk about. The retrograde planets, and then the planetary aspects for December 4th through the 18th. So let's start out with the planetary ingresses. So from December 11th to the 17th, the North Node goes direct. And this is uncommon. Now, we did have another one of these in a previous one of my astrology videos that was, I think, just the last one, where the North Node went direct for just a little while. This also means the South Node is going direct, by the way. And while it's uncommon, it's not unheard of. The normal direction for the nodes is retrograde. The nodes are the crossing of the ellipticals between the sun and the moon in their respective orbits around the earth and the sun. When the node goes direct, it's usually seen as an inauspicious sign. So this might be a time where you want to double check if you're doing any social events for the holidays, any travel for the holidays, signing big documents, asking for a raise, going for a new job, things like that. You may want to avoid these dates, especially if the North Node is traveling through some sensitive degrees in your chart. On December 14th, Mars will enter the sign of Sagittarius. Now, this is pretty close to the full moon, which means that for most of this period, we will be under the Mars in Scorpio influence. Now, I talked a lot about Mars in Scorpio in the previous video, but just to recap, Mars in Scorpio deals with secrets. People trying to keep secrets, people trying to find out secrets, and also a lot of other Scorpio things like sexual aggression, not aggression, but sexual activity, and shrewdness, strategy, trying to get things done behind the scenes, transformation and healing on a very profound level. So we will still be engaging in those Scorpio activities with Mars up until around the 14th, or maybe just a few days before. A lot of people are sensitive to the sign changes, and you may feel this before it actually happens. Mars in Sagittarius is going to mean that things come out in the open. So all those secrets, not all, but a lot of those secrets may get exposed and be right out there in the open where we can all see them. Now let's talk about the retrograde planets. On December 17th, the North Node again turns retrograde. Now this is normal activity, and the North Node in Gemini deals with our communications, and that includes social media and the internet, our daily interactions with people. And so this means that this is an important thing for us right now, is communicating with other people and keeping those lines of communications open in a civil manner and not in a difficult or violent manner. The other retrograde planets are Chiron, which is staying retrograde until December 20th. And so at this point, Chiron is probably slowing down and coming to station. And Uranus, which will be retrograde until January 18th. And Uranus is moving very slow, but it is moving. So it hasn't come to station yet. Now let's talk about the planetary aspects that will be taking place between December 4th and December 18th. The major influences that we will experience during this approximately 2.5-week period is Mars will sextile Pluto, Mars will square Jupiter, Venus will conjunct Pluto from the 9th to the 27th, that's like 3 weeks. Saturn will continue to square Uranus, coming exact again on Christmas Eve. So that's a little outside the scope of this video, but I wanted to bring it up so that you can plan and know accordingly. So on December 5th, we have Mars sextile Pluto, and it's going to look like this. Pluto and Mars are 60 degrees apart. Now, when this transit comes into play, you'll find that you have the ability to focus intensely on a particular project. Also, that you'll be able to get something done that is difficult for you. You will be able to rise to the occasion and tackle anything that's really, really been at the back of your mind for a while and you need to get done. Now, this is occurring after a big eclipse. So you may be clearing out the closets of your mind, so to speak, as far as giving yourself a to-do list that's kind of old. Like during the eclipse, maybe you've crossed a few of those things off your list as not necessary anymore. I really don't need to do those things anymore. And so the big project that's sitting in front of you can get done because you're not wasting your energy worrying about things that you really can't do anymore. When Mars and Pluto are in sextile, you have the ability to really, really focus intensely on things. And this is going to last about 3 days. You may feel it a few days before and a few days after. The next thing on December 6th is that Mars will square Jupiter. Now, Mars sextile Pluto will still be in force. Mars squaring Jupiter is kind of a rough aspect. It's a square. It brings things into challenge mode, but Mars with the Jupiter energy just makes things a little bit bullish. So you may find that you're very brusque with people, a little tactless. You may not be watching how you treat people. You may be on this project and kind of overlooking somebody's good ideas just because you want to deal with the big picture. Jupiter is going to have you focusing on the large things that go into this project. And this person may really be focusing on a detail that's quite important and you won't want to hear it. So be a little bit careful during this period of time. Even though you're going to be intensely focusing on probably a big project, you are also going to be tactless when it comes to dealing with other people, and you don't want to hurt their feelings or ruin a relationship. And that's what that's going to look like. On December 7th, Mercury will square Neptune, joining the little cadre of planets that are kind of messing things up for us during this period. Now, Mars will still be squaring Jupiter, and Mars will also still be sextiling Pluto. Mercury squaring Neptune is going to add an even more befuddling aspect to this configuration of planets. When Mercury squares Neptune, it clouds your judgment, it clouds your thinking, it makes you more susceptible to believing things that are probably too fantastical to be true, such as conspiracy theories or cult thinking or just the latest rumor that probably isn't true. So you need to be very, very careful. Not only will you be susceptible to believing things that aren't true, but you yourself will be confusing when you speak to other people. Now, this isn't like Mercury retrograde. Mercury squaring Jupiter means that you will say outlandish things and believe they are true, that you will amplify the rumor mill possibly, Jupiter being the planet of expansion or things that are supersized. So I want you to be careful during this period. It would just be a great idea on this project to have an assistant, somebody who just promises to keep themselves in total neutrality mode during the whole thing, and also to screen communications between you and the other players on your team so that you don't hurt feelings, so that you don't spread false rumors, so that you don't blow up the project with something very emotional that you feel very strongly about that possibly isn't even true. So that Mercury square Jupiter is really actually a very important aspect. Now, Mercury moves quickly. This isn't going to be a long-lasting aspect, so you don't need to feel like you have a whole week of this. It'll just be a couple of days. Then on December 8th, most of those other aspects have passed and we're just back to Mars squaring Jupiter. So you'll still be doing things large, you'll still run the risk of being a little bit tactless, but you will begin to lose some of that intensity of focus on the project itself. So hopefully you have things pretty much wrapped up by December 8th. You will not be, however, so susceptible to cult-like fantasy theories and conspiracy theories as you were previously. That will begin to dissipate and you will begin to see the forest for the trees. And that's what this looks like. It's just the square between Mars and Jupiter. On December 9th, that's when Venus conjuncts Pluto. We still have Mars squaring Jupiter, but on December 9th, with Venus conjuncting Pluto, this is when your powers of persuasion and your sexual and just beauty, your attraction, your magnetism will go up to a 10. So whoever you focus your attentions on is going to be reciprocating really well. So you need to be a little bit careful because this transit allows you to be able to manipulate people easily. So you want to be a little careful about that. When Venus is conjunct Pluto, some people call this the Mata Hari transit, where you can get everybody's secrets, you can understand them, you can manipulate them till the cows come home, because your attraction quality is so strong. So it also works on you, though. You may feel so strongly that you really need to have a new relationship. So if you're single and you're pointing your attentions on a particular person, chances are you're actually going to start up a relationship with that person. Whether it's a great match or not, you're going to probably get reciprocation. If you're already in a relationship, though, this may mean that you are looking outside the relationship for something new and exciting. Now, Capricorn, and especially Venus in Capricorn, is not known for looking for things that are exciting. They are known for looking for things that are status driven. So they want the person who makes the most money, who drives the biggest car, who has the highest title, the biggest authority, or the high levels of government or state or royalty or something like that. So you need to be careful of that. If you're already in a stable, steady relationship, you need to figure out a way to focus this intensity and the magnetism on your existing partner, unless you really want to end that relationship, because this is an aspect that could definitely lead to the end of a relationship, only because you step outside the relationship, not because it's like an eclipse or something where it ends things. On December 10th, you're going to have all those other planetary aspects fall away, and we're going to be focusing just on Venus conjunct Pluto. Now, I talked a lot about Venus conjunct Pluto in the last couple of slides, but I just want you to know that Venus and Pluto are going to be at 25 degrees of Capricorn. So if you have any personal planets at around 25 degrees of Capricorn, Libra, Aries, or Cancer, this may be difficult for you to work on with this transit in force. If you have 25 degrees of Virgo or Taurus, this may be a great transit for you because it's going to be trining those planets or that ascendant or that midheaven, and that may be very, very helpful. But if you're in the cardinal signs with 25 degrees, it may be difficult. It may just, for Capricorn, 25 degrees Capricorn, it may just be overwhelming. For the other cardinal signs, it may just be really challenging. So I wanted to bring that up so that you know when you're looking at your chart that you're really focusing on 25 degrees of Capricorn, a couple degrees before, a couple degrees after, and not everybody with, say, Capricorn rising. People with Capricorn rising will feel this, yes, but they will feel it more as just an overall sense that their magnetism has increased. On December 11th, we have the Sun squaring Neptune. Now, this is going to be challenging. This is where we have fantasy overriding our own sense of self and who we are. In addition, we're going to have Mercury sextile Jupiter and still Venus conjunct Pluto. So let's focus now on what it means for the Sun squaring Neptune. This is a bit of a debilitating transit. Your vitality may be low. You may not feel like doing very much. You also may feel extremely confused about certain things that are going on in your life. You may feel confused about your health. You may feel confused about why you feel so tired. Or you just may lay there in your bed and think, why do I even have to go to work today? It's an enervating, a draining, an energy draining aspect. Now, hopefully it doesn't last too terribly long, just a few days, because the sun is going to move on in the next day or so. But you may feel this even as early as December 9th and as late as maybe the 15th. So you may have a few days there where you just feel like, I just don't want to do this. I'm just not sure why I'm doing this. So I would say don't make any big decisions during this transit because your judgment definitely will be clouded. You may even feel so drained of your energy that you may just claim that you're sick and stay home from work. And that probably wouldn't be a terrible idea, but I wouldn't make yourself really sick. You know, hypochondria comes up a lot with this aspect too. So you do want to be careful that you're not convincing yourself that you have to be sick in order to stay home from work. Maybe you just need a couple of mental health days. So this is going to be a challenging period for a lot of people. The Sun and Neptune are going to be at 20 degrees of Sag and Pisces respectively. So if you have personal planets at 20 degrees, this most likely is going to affect you. Then by December 13th, most of that has gone away. You still may feel a little residual effect of the Sun square Neptune, but then we're back to just Venus conjunct Pluto again. For December 16th through the 18th, we'll still be feeling a bit of that Sun square Neptune, but then the Saturn square Uranus really begins to kick in. And of course, they're going to overlap just a little bit. And that Venus conjunct Pluto is something we already talked about. That's still going to be ongoing up until the 27th. And then we have the square from Saturn and Uranus. And just to reiterate that a bit, it's the old versus the new. It's a tension there with the square, but it's also an opportunity to make changes. Of course, people have to take action in order for changes to be made. They have to initiate conversations. And I'm not sure that with the Sun square Neptune aspect still kind of lingering, if this is exactly the right time to begin initiating conversations. There's plenty of other dates in the calendar year where we have the Saturn square Uranus effect, but we don't have a Sun square Neptune. So maybe wait until it passes a little bit and then take the initiative to start up conversations about what should be kept and what should be changed. Then that brings us up to December 18th, which is the full moon in Gemini. And Gemini is a quick moving energy. It's going to be much lighter than what we've been feeling. It's going to impact that Venus conjunct Pluto tremendously because the energy is going to lighten up. So that Venus conjunct Pluto is going to turn more towards the romantic side rather than the manipulative side of that combination. Everything about Gemini, especially when we have a full moon there, talks about multiples. So you will see numbers show up in multiples. You'll see people talking about twins or two of things or three of things or four of things. In this lunation, multiples will really be emphasized. But you may feel a little bit scattered because of all that multiplicity, and you may have a little bit of trouble focusing. So it's a great time to catch up on phone calls and write letters and even to take short trips, but try to keep things short so that you can stay focused. All right, everybody, that's everything that I have for today. I'm really glad that you watched this video. Please leave me some comments down below and let me know what you thought, and I'll see you next time.